Hi, Chris. How's the garden?
Going great, going great. Tomatoes are shooting up. We even got some cucumbers coming in, and cauliflower hopefully, and peppers over there. So quite
Cool.
a bit shooting up.
Awesome. Get in close with the tomatoes here.
Yeah, these are chocolate cherry tomatoes.
Ooh.
These are called beefy tomatoes. Supposed to be really big
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes when they come in.
Are those peas over there? Or?
Yeah, these are sugar snap peas. They're climbers, so we rigged up a fence for them to shoot up.
Nice. What do we have over here in the other bed?
Over here is almost every kind of green bean you can think of. There's golden beans, regular green beans. There are what's called royal beans. They're supposed to be purple.
Ooh. Wonder how they cook up.
Well, you can show us.
We'll have to find a recipe for those, huh? We got more over here.
And then over here we have green beans that hopefully are going to climb up this pallet that we have here.
Oh, that's a good use for it.
Yeah, better than throwing it away.
Yeah.
We have onions over here, yellow onions that are growing. And then next to that, we have our herb station where we have oregano, we have parsley, cilantro, dill, which is taking its time, but it's coming up. Here's a pepper station. We have banana peppers, which we just harvested one at Steam Club.
See one on there too.
Yeah, there's one on there. I swear every day it doubles in size, the peppers on that plant. And then we have a green, it's supposed to be red, but the pepper's coming in green. It's supposed to be a red pepper plant, but they're coming out green. And this is supposed to be a yellow pepper plant, and the peppers are green as well on that one. So I guess they're green pepper plants,
well,
unless they change.
I've heard that when all peppers will turn color. It's just like varying degrees of their ripeness. So when they ripen, it'll probably turn red.
Ah, okay.
We'll
This is my first.
We'll keep an eye on those, right?
Yeah. We have cayenne peppers growing here. Then we have chili peppers here. I'm thinking at Steam Club the kids will dry them out, and we'll make crushed peppers that they can use at home.
Awesome.
And over here we have some more herbs. We have chives growing. They're growing very, very slow, but they're coming up a little bit. It's very hair fine here. Fennel, which is a herb that you can use in Chinese dishes like fish and stuff like that. It's supposed to be very good for you, healthy. Over here we're trying something else new. We're growing a peanut plant.
Oh,
so the hope is it's starting to flower a little bit. You can see it down in there. And we're hoping we'll get enough peanuts and maybe we can make our own peanut butter. Or we'll do boiled peanuts maybe.
Yeah.
So we got potatoes here that are growing up. We're having trouble with this one bucket over here because the soil has so much clay in it that the plant can't push through, but the rest of them are doing pretty okay.
Oh, nice. So how do the kids get involved with the garden?
Well, they plant it from seeds, and they water them when they come in on Steam Club on Mondays, and then we come out here and we'll have lessons for a little bit where we talk about how plants grow, the things that they need, and how to know when it's time to pick a certain type of plant, and sometimes we have experiments that we do with them from like dissection, like see how, like, say a tomato, how a tomato is formed and why it's formed that way. Or we'll take something like cabbage, like red cabbage, and we'll make like a pH indicator to test acids and stuff.
I remember that experiment.
Yes.
Just make sure you're well ventilated.
Yes, yes. You learn and you grow.
That's
you
right.
learn and you grow.
That's part of STEAM. We learn.
So sometimes even the instructor learns.
Yep.
So
cool.
that's pretty much the garden.
And I bet in this hot weather it needs lots of extra water.
Yeah, especially when we do gourds, like and big plants like the tomatoes need a lot of water, and then on the end we have lemon cucumbers, and they take up a lot of water. You basically have to drown the plant.
Mm-hmm. Well, we harvested some Chinese cabbage recently, so
yes, the kids they pulled that up and they prepped it and they got it ready to either take home or to give to others, and they really enjoyed that and they had a lot of fun doing that. And then we took the stems. They cut up the stems instead of throwing those away and making more waste. We actually have a little compost bin that we put them all into. So once those get rotten enough and the beds are done for the year, we're gonna throw that back into the soil and add nutrition back into the soil.
Yep, that's good use for that. Okay, well I guess we'll head over into the kitchen and I'll make up some Chinese cabbage chicken stir fry.
Have
Yummy.
fun.
We'll talk to you later. So we're going to be making a Chinese cabbage and chicken stir fry. And we have these beautiful Chinese cabbage leaves that came out of the garden at the Somerset County Library. So we're going to be, that is the basis for our recipe. So I did a search for recipes that use the Chinese cabbage and found a Chinese and chicken stir fry recipe. So we're going to start off by prepping our ingredients. Okay, we're going to start with a cup of chopped onion. And an easy way to chop an onion is very carefully cut it in half and peel back the first layer. And you're going to leave the root attached. And you're going to make some horizontal cuts towards the root. Oops, went a little too far on that one. And then you're going to cut down through the onion. And this you're perpendicular with the root. So we're cutting with the root there. And then finally we're going to cut parallel to the root. And you'll see it. And you'll see as I'm doing that, it comes out in chopped. So it's real easy to chop an onion. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing it. And I'm going to set that aside in a bowl. Just make sure your knife is sharp. If you have a dull knife, you actually cut yourself more when you actually cut yourself, have more of a chance of cutting yourself with a dull knife than you do with a sharp knife. You have a sharp knife and carefully make your cuts. Alright, so I have my chopped onion and the rest is going to go in my compost. Okay. And I need 2 cloves of garlic. And the garlic grows like this, and it's made up of individual cloves. So you just want 2 of those cloves. And mine is actually starting to form plants. So I'm going to throw these in soil and see if I can actually grow some garlic. So hopefully these 2 are okay. What I'm doing is just pressing down on them with the side of my knife. one's starting to sprout. You don't want them if they're sprouting. A little bit of sprout's not too bad, but if they're sprouting, they get a little woody, so you want to find one that is not sprouting. This has a little bit, so it's not too bad. Okay, so I have 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to carefully slice in one direction. I'm going to turn it and just mince it. Okay, I'm going to put that in another cup, because those will go in towards the end of the cooking. Okay, so I have my onion and my garlic. Let me chop my cabbage. What I'm going to do is sort of like make a roll out of it, and I'm just going to slice down through. And I need 2 cups of cabbage. So I'm layering my leaves, rolling it, and just slicing down through. Till I get down to the stems, and the stems will go in my compost. So that's my cabbage. And the cabbage will be the last thing that will go into the stir fry, because that won't take long at all to cook. Now let me get my chicken out. I have my chicken, and you'll notice I'm using a plastic cutting board with my chicken. I don't use my wood cutting boards when I'm cutting meat. At least the plastic one I can throw in the dishwasher and sanitize it better than you can the wood ones. And I like to have my chicken slightly frozen yet. I want to thaw it out a little bit, but I find that if it's slightly frozen, it's easier to cut, especially if you're doing like strips for stir fry. And that's what I tend to do when I'm doing a stir fry, is cut it into strips. And these are, you can use chicken breast. I usually use chicken breast when I'm doing a stir fry, but this is chicken thigh fillets that we got. So they have a little bit more fat on them than the chicken breast would, and a little darker meat. Okay, so I have my chicken, my onions, my garlic, and my Chinese cabbage. So let's start cooking. Okay, so I have my skillet. It's heating up on the stove. I have the temperature set fairly high because stir fries cook fairly quickly. And I just sprayed it with some cooking spray. And I'm going to add in the chicken, because that'll take the longest to cook, and the onions. So I'll get those cooking. I also have a pot of water on the stove here, and I'm going to bring that up to a boil. And I'm going to serve my chicken with these brown rice noodles. And I found these in the store one day. And these are pretty cool. It's a nice alternative to having rice. So, and they cook up really, really quick. So once the water's ready to go, all I'll do is drop in one of these squares of rice noodles, and they cook in like 1 minute. Added our chicken and our onions. We're going to let this cook for about 3 minutes. And you'll want to stir it occasionally so it doesn't stick. So as the chicken's cooking, you'll notice it'll start to turn white. And you want to just make sure that the chicken gets turned over and rotated so every side of the chicken has a chance to be in contact with the skillet, so that it can brown it off and help it cook uniformly. And once the chicken is browned on all sides, we'll be ready to add our garlic. We're almost there. Water is getting close to being ready. You can see the bubbles are coming up to the surface, so it's almost boiling. And once it starts to boil, I'm just going to drop the rice noodles in. Like I said, it only takes 1 minute for them to cook, so I'll just drop them in, and almost immediately I'm going to grab the colander and drain off the water. And we are at boil. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop the noodles in. Grab my spaghetti server. Turn off that burner. And it's boiling good now. Okay, so let me grab my colander. We're just going to carefully pour the water off, and we'll just let it sit in the colander while we finish up the chicken dish. That's all ready to go. Okay, the chicken and onions are smelling amazing. I love sauteed onions. Started to stick a little bit while I was taking care of the noodles. Okay, so we're going to throw the garlic in. And the garlic will cook really fast. You don't want to overcook the garlic. Down a little. Alright, and to this we're going to add some ginger. And I'm going to put about a tablespoon and a half of ginger. And we're adding this towards the end of the cooking because it doesn't take long for spices to cook. You just want to, what they call, bloom the spice. It'll make it more fragrant. That smells so good. Take that off heat a little bit. Alright, and then we have some soy sauce. And we need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And a tablespoon of rice vinegar. Get rid of the flame. And we're just going to cook this. We're just going to cook this for a minute. And you don't have to be afraid of trying a stir fry. Stir fries are really easy to do. Rice vinegar and soy sauce, and just trying to scrape up some of the bits that stuck to the pan. But stir fries come together real quickly. They're a great meal for weeknights. You come home from work and you don't really feel like making anything. I said stir fries come together really quickly. That's about done. That's about done. And I'm just going to throw the cabbage on top. And stir that through. Just want it to wilt. Okay, so that is done. some up for you. So I got my rice noodles. And some of our chicken and Chinese cabbage stir fry. Let's give it a taste. Some of the cabbage in there. It's pretty good. I'm usually not a fan of cooked cabbage, but this isn't too bad. So check it out. If you're interested in the recipe, you can let me know. I'll be happy to send you a copy. And see you next time. Bye. So the garlic grows in this bulb, and each one of these cloves can produce a new garlic plant. So I've got a hole dug in here. I don't need it that big. And I'm just going to place these garlic cloves into the soil. And cover them up a little bit, leaving the top part exposed. Wash my hands off. I've got potentially 4 garlic plants in there. I'm going to give it a water. And the garlic I grew before, it was really cool because garlic actually gets a flower on it, and I didn't know that. But it gets a flower on it and it produces seeds, and you can actually use the seeds in your cooking as well. So hopefully this works. I'm going to give it a good water. And I'm going to cover it with plastic to help keep it moist. And then I'm going to stick it in my front window where it gets plenty of sun. And we'll see how it goes.